Hello and welcome to episode number 7 of Make Some Noise. I am Jason J. Rock Houston, and my host and fellow guest for today is Jammie Bosstel. We were supposed to have a guest, but they had an emergency come up, and they're going to reschedule. We're not going to say who it is. I want to surprise you guys, but we have a show must go on kind of mentality. So me and Jammie decided we're still going to do a show today. So Jammie, what I wanted to do, because I know I've been doing this interviewing bands and musicians for the last 17 years myself. I know you're very new to doing this, so I wanted to take this opportunity that we have, since the guest wasn't able to show up, you to tell me what this experience has been like for you and what your thoughts on putting this show together.
I love it, man. I'm having fun with you doing this, getting to know these artists, and not just on a musical level, but on a personal level too, knowing their outside life too, not just about their band and stuff. And I think that's what people really want to see.
And I can tell you, one of my favorite guests that we had, and I'll be honest, it was the most popular episode to date, was the one we did with original Nirvana drummer Chad Channing. And I got to tell people that, like most people, I don't consider myself a diehard Nirvana fan. I'm maybe more of an average Nirvana fan. I could probably name all the hits, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And yet, what I loved about doing the show is it's a show that I probably wouldn't have been able to do with unless you were the co-host, because you had a friendship with Jammie. You were able to make it happen, and yet I think for that reason alone, it may be one of my favorite episodes we've done so far. For that reason, it's because I'm not a diehard Chad Channing fan, but I became more aware of him and some things in his life that he went through,
Oh
which
yeah.
made it fun.
Oh yeah. A lot of people should know that Chad Channing was a huge part of Nirvana. I mean, most of the Nevermind album was written. The drum parts were written by Chad Channing. When Dave Grohl came in and took over, Dave basically did a lot of the drum parts that Chad already did. There's little nuances, but for the most part, the drum part's the same. If you look on Spotify and you type in Chad Channing, it'll come up. There is the Nevermind sessions that he did at Smart Studios, which with Butch Vig in Wisconsin. And that was before they did the Nevermind album on Geffen, and that they did basically a demo album or whatever. They were working at Smart Studios first with Butch Vig. That's why they chose Butch Vig when they got signed to Geffen, because they already were used to working with him. And Butch Vig, if you don't know, he's also the drummer in Garbage,
Oh,
too.
okay, okay.
Yeah, and Butch
Wow,
Vig,
wow.
he
And,
produced the Foo Fighters "Wasting Light" album, so it's a good connection to have, you know. And what's cool about Chad is he's just so down to earth for as less as a part of legendary, rock
and, and what
that
I
he
found
is.
out, what I found very interesting about interviewing Chad was, okay, like if you see the way I labeled the interview, with the original Nirvana drummer Chad Channing, and that's just one little kind of dot, if you will, on his resume. He's done so much more since then, and yet
Oh yeah.
it's kind of interesting that people almost forget about the fact he was in Nirvana and he's done all this other stuff, but he's also a multi instrumentalist. That's another thing I
Yeah.
learned learning about him.
Yeah. I mean, when I hit him up, he was doing a session with Tad Doyle, which is another band possibly we could interview Tad
Sure.
too. Tad was one of the first bands on Sub Pop Records. The second band on Sub Pop was Soundgarden.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, yeah, man. Tad Doyle, he started Tad. Tad toured with Nirvana. Chad was in Nirvana when they toured Europe. In Europe,
Hmm.
I know a lot of stuff about Nirvana. I'm a
Sure.
big fan. I followed Nirvana, but I don't know. I just saw Chad doing session work, and I just hit him up and said, "Hey, man, what's up? I sent you a friend request a couple of years ago, and he actually added me, and we've talked like once a month. And I didn't really talk to him a lot about Nirvana. I talked about
Sure.
him
Now,
and what is he doing now. And a lot of celebrities like that, they don't want to be bombarded with that. They're so used to that.
again,
They they want you
another
to be
question, yeah, I got regarding the Chad Channing interview, which I kind of struggle with myself, is all as we're interviewing Chad, while the interviews take place, in the back of my mind, I wanted to ask that big question, so how did the death slash suicide of your former bandmate affect you? But at the same time, I wanted to be respectful because, that's probably something very near and dear to him. And it's probably hard to talk about. So I didn't want to go there.
Yeah, when you're in a band, it's almost like a marriage, man. I'm close to my guys, and if, even, I've had experiences with people where I believed in them and worked with them, and then it didn't work out, and then they ended up getting on social media and talking about me badly or whatever.
Yeah.
It hurts my feelings because I put a lot of heart into those people, into believing in them. That's why I asked them to be a part of it with me. And they're a big part. I don't disvalue anybody that's played with me. I value anyone who's gotten me along the journey. You know what I mean? So I'm sure he thinks that way too. I'm sure there were a lot of close moments there. You're on the road like that, you get to know each other rather quickly, and you also get to know if you can work with each other as
Sure,
well.
sure.
You
And
know,
I will say, Jamie, I think I've let this cat out of the bag a few times. I previously did another show called "This Is Metal" with a good friend of mine, Tom Collier. You know Tom, but I bring this up because um, the original host of that show, when they announced that they could no longer do a show with me, I made a list of like about two or three people, and you were one of the people on the list that I had in mind. This is in reference to the "This Is Metal" show. I just was going down my list, and the first person I reached out to was actually Sean Peck of Cage, super busy guy. I thought I've interviewed him. Okay, he's kind of a guy that I think of as a real metal guy. He'd be perfect to do a show like this. And he thanked me and he said, sorry, I just simply don't have the time, which I understood because he kind of a thought response I would get. And then, okay, next on my list was Tom. He jumped at the chance, and as they say, the rest is history. So there's always, when I was doing the This Is Metal show, I always had the thought of, if I ever had another opportunity to do a show, Jamie's the next one on my list. He's the one I'm going to reach out to. I think, and things have a funny way of working out. We're doing Make Some Noise now. I reached out to you. So when I did reach out to you this time, and the opportunity presented itself, you jumped right at it. I mean, talk about kind of what your thought process was when I asked you if you'd like to do a show like this.
well, it's a good opportunity, obviously, for me to get to know these artists too, but also spread the word about me being an artist too. You can't just rely on just shows and putting music out. You have to make media presence too. And that's, I'm being honest, that's also going to help me.
Yeah, I mean, and from my own point of view, why reach out and ask Jammie Bosstel? Well, like you said, for the betterment of the show, I mean, obviously you got your a fan base of your own, a following of your own. That will help getting views and people to check out the show. And I told you, part of the show, I want you to feel like you have the opportunity, like if you have a new single out or something to talk about, let people know how they can, buy your latest solo CD or whatever the case may be, because you're a huge part of the show. Another thing I've noticed, Jamie, and you maybe touch on this, is you make a great point of every episode we do. I mean, we just filmed a previous episode earlier this morning, and you were wearing a different T-shirt. But my point is, like, I noticed you got a lot of like great rock oriented shirts, and that's another kind of layer to what you do.
Oh yeah, I love rock and roll, man. I love a lot of bands, and I watched. What's funny is even when I wasn't doing this show with you, I watch a lot of interviews and listen to interviews a lot more than I listen to music. I create music, so sometimes I need a break, and I listen. I like listening to interviews because I like to know people's stories and where they came from. I'm that guy who like to watch VH1 behind the music and
Yeah,
know how the band got to where it got, because I have my own story too. If
sure.
anybody want to do a movie about me, believe me, I've got a story,
And
man.
doing a podcast like this, even though we're interviewing people, your story comes out in every episode that we do. Your story, my story, the guests we have on. I mean, we
Yeah.
talk about bands that influenced us. I mean, even today, we
Oh
talking
yeah.
about the guest we had on. He was talking about he's getting ready to put together a live album, and he's like, I'm going through that and getting it mixed. And we talked about past live albums that we listened to when we were growing up, like Cheap Trick Live at Budokan, Kiss Alive, and stuff like that. So, our story comes up in each episode we do, if we wanted to or not, just through us talking with the guest.
Yeah. One band we didn't mention was Bob Seger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We,
he was very well known for his live album, Silver Bullet Band. Bob Seger. I got to give a shout out Bob Seger because my drummer Wayne, who plays with me in Arson Radio, huge Bob Seger fan.
yeah. And I got to tell you, Jamie, and doing Make Some Noise with you, um, one thing that became really clear right away is you're just as enthusiastic and excited about doing the show as I am. I mean, to the
Oh
point
yeah.
that you took the extra time with each and every single episode we've done. We've had 6 episodes so far go up, and like what I'm talking about, every episode you will create like an ad, a poster, but you take the time out of your free time to do it. You don't get paid for it, but it's an extra way to push the show. And I really appreciate that kind of effort that are making.
I enjoy art. I enjoy doing the promo. I do all the promoting for my bands too.
Yeah.
Any artwork you see in the social media and stuff, I do a lot of work, man. I do a lot of the booking. I do a lot of the promoting, the networking, the interviews, and even some of the songwriting. You know, I've got my solo stuff. I've got Bostel, Praise the Fallen, Arson Radio. Yeah, I mean, I just put out, I think I sent it to you. I just put out a new single, Victim.
Yeah.
It's circulating pretty good. And I dove into, in 2020 during the pandemic, I just dove into recording and producing because I didn't know if live music was going to come back. None of us did, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I need to do another angle. And I started thinking, well, man, the internet's a stage too. So why don't I start diving into songwriting, recording, producing, and that? I've only been producing like the Jammie Bosstel stuff you hear. I
Yeah.
do that literally in a bedroom studio at my house.
Well,
And I've been
it's
doing
working.
it.
Yeah, it's working, and I mean, people are responding to it. That's what's mad. I tell you, Jamie, you and I go way back. I've been interviewing you for the last couple of years, talking about your various musical projects. And the thing that stood out to me the most about your music when I first heard it, I thought this guy, forget about being a great singer and guitar player. This guy is a super songwriter. You can tell when somebody's got that songwriting gift. And to me, that's what makes any successful musician or band. You got to have the songs. I mean, you can look as beautiful as John Bon Jovi, but if you don't have the songs, you're not going to go anywhere.
Well, that's what's funny is like some of the people, like Brian Blush. We're going to talk to Brian. We talked to Chad Channing. We talked to Gary Jeffries. We talk to each other on the side all the time.
Sure.
And when I put a new song out, they hit me up and go, dude, this is awesome. It's flattering, man. Because, I come from the era, for the longest time, man, I chased the dream,
Sure.
chased making it, just didn't have the right people, whatever. So I finally, sat down with myself and decided, okay, why am I doing this? I have a passion for songwriting, you know. So then what do you do when you write the way I do? You have to have a studio and start pumping stuff out.
Yeah.
And these days you got to keep up with the Joneses and constantly be putting stuff out. I want to make it known to anyone out there because I've had people actually get shitty with me and say, why are you always promoting yourself? Well, who else is going to promote me? I'm not paying a campaign or anything like that.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Who's gonna promote Make Some Noise in our case more than you or me? Who's going
Right,
to promote Jamie Bostel's music more than Jamie
right.
Bostel? You got a heavy interest in it. And you brought up Gary Jeffries. That's another fun episode I had for the simple
Yes,
fact that
man. Yes.
I've heard of Asphalt Ballet. I've heard the name, but again, if you had asked me prior to doing the episode, could I name one Asphalt Ballet song? Probably not, but it was still a fun interview because I was aware of the band a little. I do remember them being played on Headbangers Ball back in the day. And so when
Yeah.
you told me, hey, Gary Jeffries wants to do an interview with us, I researched him. I went back and I familiarized myself with the music. I'm like, how is it that I miss such a great band like this? How is it that they kind of remain under my radar? And more than anything, by the time we got done doing an episode, I found him to be so friendly and down to earth. I'm like, what a super cool guy.
Yes. Yes. Well, I thought Kenny Hickey was great today, dude.
Yeah,
Totally down to earth, as legendary as he is,
yeah,
man. You
yeah.
know, that's the way to be, though. These days, man, it's not the '80s anymore where you're hiding out and you think you're too good to talk to people. We're all flesh and blood. You know,
Sure.
I actually recently, I'm not going to mention his name. I actually reached out to someone asking them to be on our show, and they asked me if we were going to pay them.
Well, that's a common practice from what I'm finding out. But at the same time, okay, well, we're not at the point where we can do that. So,
Well,
um, like
this
you and
guy
I were
isn't
talking,
famous.
Jamie, everybody's welcome to the Make Some Noise party. Meaning, we invite you on the show. You want to come? You're more than welcome, and you're welcome back anytime. I used to have my stuff put on a site where the owner started getting to the point where, hey, you know what? We only want bands that are trending. We only want, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that because you know what? Everybody's welcome to the party as far as I'm concerned.
I think some bands understand
Yeah,
that they need people like you and me to
yeah,
make known, to help them get known. You know, it's the big national, not the nationals, but some of the underdogs. You know, there are so many great artists out there that people don't know about, creating great songs that people should know. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. And I don't know who you're talking about that you reached out to, but you know what? That's their right to do that. But here at the same time, um, you're welcome to say, well, hey, do you ever change your mind? You're always welcome to come on. We don't pay our guests, but you know what? We have no shortage of guests. I mean, as you and I are sitting here talking, we're already in the process of booking more shows, trying to get more dates booked. So we have no shortage of guests. So that's not an issue for us.
no, no, I'm not. Yeah, no, I don't let it affect me
No,
or any.
no, you
Don't
just
take.
move on. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like we're trying to help you. You know what I'm saying? I look at we're trying to help the artists. We're not
And
trying to
see,
take anything away from you.
just so people know, if you tune in to Make Some Noise, okay, what I have to bring to the show is, like I said, 17 years of interviewing bands and musicians. Um, but I'm not a musician myself. That's why I
Right.
have the guy like Jamie come on as a co-host, because when we have these guests come on, you can relate to them. You know what it's like to sit in your home studio and record or write a song. You know what it's like to do a live show. I don't. So you can relate to the guests a little better than I can.
I know what it's like to get shows like Chad Channing. Chad Channing of all people, he's saying on there, yeah, it's kind of tough to get shows. It's like, wow, really?
Yeah,
Because
for you.
I struggle with that myself.
Yeah.
You know, just being who I am. You know, I'm doing all right considering the geographic area that I live in.
Uh,
You know, there's really not a lot to choose from around here.
yeah.
But the people I have on my side, you know, I've built relationships with them through the years. Anyone who doesn't want to work with me, I just look at it as like, well, you're missing out, you know, because we work really hard, not just Praise the Fallen, but Arson Radio. I just rehearsed at 9 a.m. this morning,
Oh
man.
wow, you've been going at it all day, and you've done two shows with me today. Now, before we wrap it up, Jamie, I do want to ask you, being a guy that's been known for being an artist yourself, you're now kind of on the other side. You have a show where you can welcome bands onto, you get the opportunity to interview them. What's that like? Maybe not even as a fellow musician, but you're on the other side now. You're getting to ask these bands questions maybe you always wanted to know.
Well, I love it. Some of these people, you know, I won't say any names or anything, but some of these people, if I hit them up for something to do a show with them, they don't pay no attention. But I hit them up and ask them to come on here, and they're all about it. They're starting to see, look, I'm out to help you. I'm out to be your friend.
Yeah,
You know, I'm not trying to gain anything from you or anything. I just want to work together. I want to show people that we need to be like that. All of
yeah.
us, you know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah. And
So,
I think I can talk from experience because, like, for example, I've interviewed a legend like Carmine Appice 3 or 4 times already. Super
yeah.
nice guy, super down to earth guy. The thing is, though, when you first start doing this, it's hard not to kind of go all fanboy and be like, "Oh, hey, Carmine, I'm your biggest fan." Like even today when we are interviewing Kenny, is you see, cause maybe it's because I've been doing so long, but you did a great job too. Like you just simply asked him the questions. You weren't getting all fanboy or like, "Oh, hey, look, I loved all your bands," you know.
Well, I'm a musician. I've done, you know, not bragging or anything, but I've opened for a lot of national bands, and some
Great.
of the artists that we're interviewing, I've opened for them, so they know me. You know,
Yeah.
like like Scotty Austin, we got coming up that was in Saving Abel. I opened for Saving Abel several times, and then I opened for Scotty and myself, and he knows me. He
And I'm
knows.
hoping, Jamie, when Scotty comes on, you're going to ask him some questions you always wanted to ask him, or even bring up the fact that you did a show with him. You know.
Oh, I will. He knows it. I asked him actually a messenger. I go, you remember me? He goes, oh, hell yeah, dude. Praise the Fallen did a show with them in Chicago, and it was a small crowd. So when you're around a smaller crowd, you seem to be a little more tight. You seem to hang out a little more. Bigger crowds, they don't have time. They're a little busy and that. But a smaller, intimate crowd, usually the artists have time to hang out and they're hanging out with the crowd because honestly, that's the way they all should be. But a lot of them, some of them don't. Some of them hide out, until it's showtime. They still got that old school mentality. I just want to be, for me, I just want to be known as a hardworking American guy
Yeah.
who does his own music.
I think you're that guy. Well, Jamie, thanks for doing this today, my friend. This will be going up in 2 weeks because I think actually, since our guest canceled day, we'll be putting up the Kenny Hickey interview from earlier today. This will be going up after that. We just wanted to reach out, let people know. We've done 7 of these episodes now. We kind of like give them behind the scenes of what it's been like doing the show, and we'll probably do another one of these down the line. So thanks for all your hard work, Jamie. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. If I can make some announcements, check out my solo stuff under my name. I just dropped 2 singles, Wasting Time and Victim. I'm having fun recording my own stuff. Praise the Fallen's working on a full album right now. Arson Radio is working on a couple singles too. You should check out Arson Radio as
Okay,
well.
okay.
And like I said, I got some artists I want to bring on the show. Just send me some dates and I'll get it
Yes.
to them.
And Jamie, I'll tell you what, if Praise the Fallen or Arson Radio ever wants to come on and
Okay.
do a full band interview with you of course, included, we can do that.
Hey, we can do that, man. I'd rather have the guys with me. We
That'd
do
be great.
something that'd be fun. Let's
Okay.
line it up and I'll tell them for
Okay,
sure.
yeah, we'll get that done within the next month or so, but I'd love to do that. Further promote what you're all about. Okay, take care, my friend.
All right, man. You take it easy.
Bye bye.